All right, let's talk about something kind of heavy. It's this unspoken weight that, let's be honest, so many of us are carrying around. We're going to get into burnout, fear, and what it actually looks like to start healing. I want to ask you something, and I mean this in the gentlest way possible. Have you ever had that quiet thought that you just wish you could stop existing for a little bit? Not in a scary way, but just a vague wish to hit pause on everything, to just make the weight stop. If that resonates with you, even a tiny bit, I really need you to hear this. You are so not alone. Okay, first things first, and this is probably the most important part. That feeling is not a flaw. It is not a sign that you're weak or broken. Please don't be ashamed of it. What it actually is a signal, a really powerful one that your mind and body are trying to send you. Basically, it's your internal alarm system screaming, hey, you're carrying way too much. The tank is empty. Your whole system is crying out for three things we all need to survive: rest, safety, and connection. So let's dive in and really unpack what that signal is trying to tell us. All right, let's get into our first section, that overwhelming feeling. We're going to start by really digging into what it means to feel completely, totally overwhelmed. So the official word for this is burnout. And let's be clear, this is so much more than just feeling tired. We're talking about a deep, profound exhaustion that hits you on every level. Emotionally, physically, mentally, and it all comes from being under way too much stress for way too long. And look, if this is you, you are in a huge crowd. A survey from 2010, and that was a while ago, found that 75% of adults in the US had felt symptoms of burnout. Can you even imagine what that number would be today? It's like this quiet epidemic that no one's really talking about. This distinction is so important. Think of it like this. Stress feels like you're drowning. You're overwhelmed, sure, but you're still kicking, still fighting to stay afloat. But burnout? Burnout is when you feel like you've been left out in the desert for a month. You're just completely dried up. There's nothing left in the tank. You're past the frantic urgency and have landed in this place of total, crushing helplessness. So, how do you know if you've crossed that line? Well, here are some telltale signs. You might feel totally disconnected, like you're on autopilot just going through the motions. Or maybe you've lost all motivation for stuff you used to be great at. That passion you had for hobbies? Gone. You find yourself getting moody and irritable over little things. And maybe the biggest one? When even simple, everyday tasks feel like trying to climb Mount Everest. Okay, on to section 2, why your body protects you. You know, it's so easy to beat ourselves up over these feelings, right? But what if I told you they aren't a malfunction? What if they're actually your body's old, maybe outdated way of trying to protect you from getting hurt again? This quote just nails it. If you feel yourself pulling away from people, it's not because you're broken or you can't connect. It's almost certainly a learned response. Your nervous system, deep down, might have been trained a long time ago that getting close to people is dangerous. And your body holds onto that memory, even if your conscious mind has moved on. And this points to a really wild truth about our brains. They don't always go for what's healthy. They go for what's familiar. So if you grew up with a lot of chaos or anxiety, your brain literally wired that feeling as home base. So now, as an adult, it might pull you back into those same feelings. Not to mess with you, but because that painful, familiar place can actually feel safer to your brain than the scary unknown of peace and calm. And this is exactly why you have got to stop calling yourself lazy. Laziness is just a part of someone's personality. It's consistent. But burnout, that's a change. Think about it. You weren't always this way, right? You used to have drive. You used to be passionate about things. That exhaustion, that irritability you're feeling now, that's not who you are. It's the end result of being drained bit by bit over a long time. Moving on to section 3, small steps to reconnect. Okay, so understanding why we feel this way is huge. But the big question is, what can we actually do about it? Let's talk about some small, totally manageable steps you can take to start feeling safe and connected again. So if fear is what's keeping you isolated, the answer isn't to just be brave. It's to build safety. And you don't do that with grand gestures. You do it with small, consistent actions. Try sharing just one little thing, then pause. Check in with yourself. How did that feel? And here's a big one. Healthy relationships aren't about avoiding conflict. They're about being good at repairing things afterward. Because when you learn to fix things after a fight, you're literally teaching your body on a deep level that closeness is safe and won't end in you being left alone. And what about when you're in the middle of that intense, overwhelming spiral? Remember, you don't have to solve the whole problem right then and there.
The goal is just to find an anchor. Sometimes just naming the feeling out loud, wow, I feel like I want to disappear, can actually take some of its power away. Or give yourself permission to take a 5-minute micro rest. Just sit, breathe, or find one small thing, just one, that brings you back to the present moment. Play a song you love, step outside for 30 seconds. These tiny acts can be lifelines when you feel like you're spinning out.
Okay, section 4 is called the truth about healing. And this is so important because as we start taking these small steps, we have to get real about what the healing journey actually looks like. Because I promise you, it's probably not what you think. We have this myth in our heads that healing is like a stock chart going straight up, right? A clean, perfect line. But the reality is a messy, looping, chaotic scribble. There are dips, there are times you feel like you're going backwards, but here's the key. Even with all those loops, the overall direction of that scribble is still moving up. And every one of those dips teaches you something that makes the next ascent a little bit stronger. This leads to this idea of the setback cycle. You know that feeling? When you're doing great, making so much progress, and then bam, you just crash, seemingly for no reason. Listen to me, that is not you going backwards. So often that crash is a sign that your brain and your body finally feel safe enough to let go of some of the heavy emotions you've been holding on to. It feels awful, but that crash can actually be a huge sign of progress. This completely changes how we should look at setbacks, right? The very fact that you can now notice you're in a spiral is proof of how far you've come. Think about it. There was probably a time when that spiral was just your normal. The fact that you see it now, that you have the awareness, that is the progress. Even if you recover just 1 minute faster than last time, that's a win. So that brings us to our last section, finding your way forward. If we accept that healing is this messy, looping journey, how in the world do we navigate it? Well, the answer really boils down to one thing: self-compassion. So the new goal isn't to stop the bad days from happening. It's not about trying to fix the crash while you're in it. The real work is just staying with yourself through it, not abandoning yourself. It means lowering your expectations for that day, being kinder, and giving yourself permission to do less. It's amazing what happens when you stop fighting the dip so hard. It often loses its power to take over your whole life. And really, if you take one thing away from all of this, let it be this. Healing is not the absence of fear. It's not about becoming this perfect and vulnerable person. It's about the presence of self-compassion. It's about learning how to be on your own team with kindness, especially when things get hard. It's about making compassion your go-to reaction instead of criticism. So, I want to leave you with one final question to think about. And this is not another big task for your to-do list, okay? It's the opposite. What is one small, gentle thing you can do for yourself, just for you, today? Seriously, what will it be?